My name is Bill Hobby, and I came in 2004 for dairy science, and then ended up with the ag sales and service class. So I taught all the dairy classes, ag sales, coached the dairy judging team, facilitated the holiday auction for many years through the ag sales class, and then was the dairy unit manager. I was here for 16 years, 2004 to 2020. How I made it to MJC was, I was a student here, and I was on the dairy judging team with Hal Carlton in the late 70s. Went on to Cal Poly, and then graduated from there and ended up in the AI industry for about 19 years, traveling all over the United States and several foreign countries, seeing dairies operate, and where I got a better understanding of genetics, reproduction, and operating in different countries. I ended up not seeing my family grow up. So my kids, I didn't recognize them at the airport one day. And I said, wait a minute, when you want a family and you're not seeing your family and you don't even recognize them, it's time for a change. So I took the high school teaching job, the ag department at Houston, and I was there 6 years. And somebody goes, hey, the MJC job's open. Are you going to apply? And I said, oh, yeah, I want to do that. I think I would be a good fit. So I applied for that position, and I was lucky enough to get it. And so I was able to utilize my education, specifically in dairy science, along with my U.S. and international travels and seeing lots of dairies and some of the best cows in the world, meet a lot of the great people, and then be able to bring those all back to MJC and pass those on to students. My favorite MJC ag memory would probably be all the times that we made ice cream in the different classes. We would make ice cream in the introduction to dairy class to study the dairy products and what comes from milk after studying all the components. We would also make ice cream for the milk production class. Usually we made ice cream for like the holiday auction and the open house that we used to have. And so making ice cream was a big event, and it was amazing how many friends would find their way down the hallways to sample all the new flavors. Creating new flavors was probably the most fun that we had. So ice cream was, and it's a happy food. So there's lots of things that go with ice cream. It's fun. One of our students, Brian Fiorini, their family had dairy goats, and we had a group of German dairymen that came over. And so the Fiorinis, we went to visit their farms in Germany with a group of students. And Fiorinis were one of those families. And so when they came here, Fiorinis wanted to treat them to goat milk ice cream, my recipe, their milk. And so they actually went to Meyenberg Creamery and got products where they shipped. And then the Germans were at dinner at their house that night. We had 36 German dairymen and their families and wives. And they could not believe the ice cream was the best they'd ever had. And then they found out it was goat milk. And it's just so rich and so creamy. That's the only time I've ever made it. Whenever you win the national judging contest in Madison, Wisconsin, it's in October. Whenever you're in the top 3, you get invited to the international competition. I'm not sure how many times we were in the top 3 when I was there. I'm guessing 8 or 9, but we would only go when we won it because we couldn't afford to raise $40,000 every year. And so I got to take 4 teams there. And so what we would do is we would fly to Scotland, judge at the international competition, and then from my AI days when I was traveling through all those countries, I just started calling my friends, and we would take off on our own trip and see the world, which one of the opportunities that I like to give students is to show them eye-opener situations about things that maybe they didn't know were out there for the future. Dr. Wilkie would escort the German part of it for us, and we went to a German bull stud and saw, in those days it was Lightning, and I can't remember the other bull's name. But he was the top-rated bull in the world, and we actually got to see those bulls. And then we actually got to see the top 30 cows in the country were all in one barn, because they would gather those cows from all the different special farms and bring them to one facility and have a competition to see who the best cow was head to head. So it was unreal. And then I remember when we went to Christian Bellafield's dairy, a young kid, 30-ish. This is going back 15 years ago. He had solar panels on his barns. He had a methane digester that was powering 800 homes in a city 10 miles from him. All the things that they were doing over there technology-wise were things we should be doing here, and they were so far ahead of us. And so it gave these dairymen a look into the future to say, wow, this is what we could be doing on our dairy someday. So the chance to travel and see those things is extra special. I think one of the things that MJC does, especially the ag department, is that all of our ag teachers have their bus driver licenses, so our field trips, we can take those trips. I believe I was more field trips per semester than any other teacher. It wasn't a goal, but they were necessary to take the classroom learning and see it in action or participate in those events so that when they got a job, they could actually go do that specific skill or task that we were seeing that day. So about 28 to 32 field trips for all my dairy classes every semester. Stanislaus County is back and forth between the third and fourth biggest dairy county in the United States. So we have access within 30 miles. I can take any tour to any kind of a component of a dairy. We do one tour where all we do is study milk barns. We do one tour where all we do is study freestalls. We do one day where all we study is nutrition plans from 3 or 4 different dairies. And so those field trips really gave those students an appreciation and an eye for the options available. And then the judging team was kind of like your advanced prep class or whatever you want to call it. Those were the students that worked hard with another skill, evaluating cattle. And so whenever we would take a judging trip, I call them tours, usually we'd go practice with other universities. And so then I would see some of my friends and we would take them to extra special dairies. We went and saw the 2 world record cows in Wisconsin one trip. Another trip we saw Delta was the #1 TPI bull in the Holstein breed. We saw at Arethusa Dairy, I can't think of the Jersey cow's name, but she's 97 points. And just an ultra famous cow that everybody has to have their picture taken with her. And so these students get to see all those animals and visit with the farmers and breeders of those prestigious individuals, and it's just spectacular. They get a whole new perspective on what's out there. So we always would try to stop at universities. So we would judge in contest in Oklahoma, and we would go to Oklahoma State and visit with the ag department there. At Ohio State, Bonnie would give us a tour of the entire facility, the university. We'd go see the stadium. We'd see the herd. The University of Kentucky, we would go see Dr. Hershey. They would give us the royal tour. And so Madison, Wisconsin, University of Minnesota, my friend Les is the coach there, and I've known him through my entire AI career. So all those students have access to all those great teachers and people, and we've sent students to all those places. I'll just say his name is Justin, was washing cars on McHenry, and he says, Mr. Hobby, I really like cows. I want to be a dairyman. And so he came to my classroom knowing nothing and ended up at Fresno State. He ended up on the National Dairy Challenge team, national champions with Fresno State, and now he is managing a dairy in mid-southern part of the state for 6-figure salary, a nice 2-story, 3,000 or 4,000 square foot home, married a girl from Fresno State that milked with him in the milking parlor at the dairy, got a couple kids, and every time they see me, they just can't thank me enough. So from that kind of a student that knew he wanted to be around cows and had no dairy background to show what skills he got here and then got more at Fresno, and then doing that is phenomenal. Then on the other hand, Lexi went to Ohio State because we visited there and they were putting in a fancy system at Paul Detweiler's heifer ranch, small ranch, 10,000 cows. A lot of bulls there. Sexing Technologies is a big company. And anyway, Lexi fell in love with the facility, fell in love with Ohio State, ended up going to school there, got an internship at Sexing Technologies with Paul, When she graduated, they hired her. And now recently, after working for 2 years back there, she got to move to California and is the California rep. So yeah, our students go all over the country. Vince Migliazzo, probably my most recent one, went to University of Minnesota. He was 1 point short of national champion judge on our team. He won by 1 point at the university level at the World Dairy Expo. He beat out a teammate. And so he was national champion, and now he's University of Minnesota and graduated, and now he's trimming feet and married his college bride, and she's a vet. And so, yeah, these kids, they're awesome. That's what makes it special, is seeing them grow and develop and find their path and follow their dreams. And so being part of that special group of people that could impact students' lives, and knowing that we were top rated in the nation every year in the top 3 or 4 or 5, however you want to rank it, and just living up to those expectations, I think forced you to do a better job and be at your best every day. And I know a lot of employers like hiring MJC students. I just got a text of 2 former students fishing on a boat with Jeffo sales reps, and they had these ginormous, I don't know if they were salmon or where they were at, but they had a blast. And those are the connections that MJC does, is you end up going to work for somebody, and some of the benefits and pleasures of your job is having some fun once in a while. So I think that camaraderie and how passionate the teachers were or are to their profession, that's what got you out of bed every day to come and deliver your lesson plan to make sure it was the best it could be, and so that those kids could be successful. Seeing those students sitting in the chairs or in the lab, and then see the light bulb come on, oh, that's it, or I passed my pipette, now I understand what it's like. Man, that's euphoria every day when you saw that, and fortunately I'm able to see that in the reproduction genetics world that I'm in now with livestock in our ranch. It's been a fun ride, and it's one of the treasured moments, and now my wife is still here working. So we're kind of proud that for 52 years of the 100 years of MJC, there's been a hobby on staff here teaching or facilitating students. And so that's a little bit about our family's passion to this school. My father went to school here. All 3 of my daughters went to school here, or our daughters. And so, and actually my grandparents gave part of the property that Columbia College is on. So I'd say our family is vested in Yosemite Community College District. Congratulations to all the staff, retired staff that have developed, I would guess, millions of students, alumni, that have gone on to do lots of big things. Thank you.